Okay, so welcome to your last part, which is part 4 of your introduction to inheritance. Let us now look at something called, let me first say, multiple inheritance. So, multiple inheritance is the ability to inherit from one or more classes or from more than one class. Most programmers find it challenging to implement multiple inheritance, and for that reason, C# or the .NET language has prohibited that. So we no longer have multiple inheritance. What they normally do is they use a concept called interfaces, which is an alternative to multiple inheritance. And what an interface really is a collection of methods that can be overridden by child classes. And many of these, or all of these methods have abstract definitions. And that's what's different about interfaces, that all methods have abstract definitions, unlike abstract classes, where some methods have abstract definitions and some do not have abstract definitions. They're actually virtual. Okay, so an interface, this is how you declare an interface. You can have an access modifier if you want. You can make your interface to be public, or just just leave it as being having the default internal, which is normally not written. So it is important that you use the interface keyword to declare your interface. And then over here, we've got an interface that is called person. And normally, when you create an interface, you just give an I just to show that this is an interface. So over here, our interface name is called iPerson, okay, which is an example of, so our app over here, I'm going to explain, it makes use of a university person, okay. And when methods in your interface, you don't have access modifiers. It's normally just the method type and the name of the interface. And remember over here, we said that methods are abstract, which means that they are not going to have a square bracket, an implementation, and a closing square bracket over there. So this is how you now declare method in your interface. Okay, so you can have you can pass parameters inside your method definition over here in your interface, sorry, in your methods if you want to, but you're not allowed to have any implementation inside the method. Okay, so over here, this example makes use of so this is a same example. Over here, this example makes use of a I person or I university person, but I just called it I person. So there can be two types of persons. One's a staff member at a university, and I think the other example, one's we're still carrying on in this abstract student class. So over here, the staff members implementation of this class, of this method, the go to campus. What do you do when you go to campus as a staff member? I go to campus to do my work. So that's the implementation of the staff member to the go to campus method. And remember over here in the interface, you do not have the override keyword like you do if you are using the abstract class. Okay. And then now your abstract class can inherit from the iPerson interface. That is what I called, I think in the first video series, inheritance chaining. Okay, where over here we've got iPerson and you've got abstract student. Abstract student inherits from iPerson, and the types of students, student 1, I think it was a postgrad student, and undergrad student, these both inherit from this class. So now this I person is an ancestor to both of these classes. Okay, that is now your inheritance chaining. So these two classes do not need to inherit directly to the I-person class as long as they inherit from the abstract student class. Okay, and now let us look at this program over here. So what was the method? So remember, in I-person, if a class inherits from I-person, whether it's an abstract class or it's just a normal class, it has to make sure that it inherits the method. The method should be available over here. And since this class is an abstract class, you can just leave that method to still be abstract. Okay, since now we've got I-person and we've got an abstract class called abstract person, this go to campus can still be abstract because at this point in this class we cannot really tell what our abstract student does when it goes to campus, since we're still talking high level, we're still very abstract. But now a postgrad student, we know what this person does when they go to campus. Therefore, we can say, I go to campus to work in the labs. That's a postgrad student. For an undergrad student, you can say, I go to campus to study or whatever, to attend class. That's now its implementation. Remember, I mentioned that you do not need an override method, but over here I did make use of the override method. It's because we're no longer now inheriting from the I-person class, we're now inheriting from our abstract class, which has that abstract keyword. Therefore, in order for us, since this class inherits from the abstract student class, therefore we need to make sure that we override that method. Okay, so in order for us to invoke methods that are here. Okay, so if you now using interfaces, so interfaces and abstract classes are common in the sense that you cannot create concrete classes for this. You cannot instantiate concrete, interfaces. Um, a class can inherit from only one base class. So it can also inherit from other interfaces. Okay. So you can create an interface when you want to derive classes to make use of the methods and make use of your polymorphism, which is making use of the method but in different types. So we saw if we had go to campus for a staff member, they go to campus to work. For an undergrad, they go to campus to attend classes, but for a postgrad, they go to campus to conduct their research or to just go to the labs and work from the labs. So that's now the polymorphic behavior that they're mentioning, which supports our interfaces. Okay. Now, for our introduction to inheritance, which is the principle that you can apply your knowledge to a general category to more specific objects, like we've seen the way that we've been doing. Some terminology that you need to keep in mind is your base class is the class that you're inheriting from, which is known as either your superclass or the parent class. And then the extended classes are the child classes, or sorry, the derived classes are the child classes which inherit from the parent class or the superclass. Okay. So use a single colon dot dot to indicate that the child class inherits from the parent class. So then now the protected access modifier. So what does this access modifier do? It if you've got a protected in the base class, only these classes, the child classes, can have access to that. Now your abstract classes and your interfaces, remember you cannot create, you cannot instantiate your abstract classes and your interfaces. And you should also remember that the base class, its relationship to the child class is that this has an is a relationship, which means that if you've got a student class and a postgrad student class, the postgrad student class is a student. So that is what that relationship means. Okay. So this now brings us to the end of our all four parts of the introduction to inheritance. So I'm going to now create another video where I'm going to explain the code example, a running code example, so that you can be able to follow that whilst working with your slides. Thank you.